repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive, Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show from the Autotempest.com studios. All the cars, one search. This is the Under the Hood Show. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, Hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. While the music was playing and we were getting started, we had some calls coming in and they're on hold. So let's get right to those. Let's talk to Burl. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Burl, what can we do for you?
Yes, gentlemen, good morning. Have a 2018 Chevy Silverado 2500 heavy duty. I bought it used in 2020 before all the COVID stuff happened. Bought it from a local dealer. It was a fleet vehicle that came out of North Dakota oil fields. It had 85,000 miles on it, and I purchased it specifically to tow our RV. It was whoever was the maintenance people on this fleet. They put seat covers over the seat, put floor mats so the interior is like brand new. And did my due diligence, took in, pulled the dipsticks and pulled the transmission, smelled the fluid, and beautiful red. Truck drove like brand new. New tires, we bought it. It was half the price of a new truck.
So far, this story sounds pretty good. I got a feeling it's going to take a turn.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So 2 years later, 2022, you've taken a 2,000-mile trip pulling our trailer. It has a Class 5 factory package. It's got the 6-hole gas, and our trailer is only like 7,800 pounds loaded. So we're within the range, way low for what it's built for towed package. And so we've taken a 2,000 and a 1,000-mile trip, and so we're pulling the trailer out, and so I'm going through checking fluids and everything, and so I pull the transmission dipstick, and the fluid is no longer red. And so there's little black flecks on the dipstick. This thing's running hot. So I checked the oil cooler and it's located right in the front bumper. There's a hole opening there, right there in the front. And I could see that, probably bugs and stuff. It's got that kind of that triangular honeycomb radiator for the cooler, and so maybe that's what's caused it to warm up. So I went to the internet to take and see if there's a high performance cooler for it, and I start getting all these articles about GM took in that series of truck, put a temperature control valve on the fluid circulating system to raise the fluid temperature so that the viscosity is lower so to get higher mileage. But there's a whole bunch of burned up transmissions because of this. And they put out a service bulletin to take and put a different temperature control valve to 140 degree temperature instead of the 195 and 210 that's in them. What do you guys know about it, and have I toasted this thing already?
Well, if it's black and there's black flakes in there, yeah, it's probably...
It's not black. It's clear, and it's tan now. It's not red anymore.
Tan and
it
with
doesn't
black
smell
flakes.
burnt. Black
Well, it may live, but to change that quick is not good. You've got to flush it out right away. That's the first step. And time will tell with what happens.
Is it still shifting and working properly?
Oh yeah, dude, you wouldn't even know it. It's just because I checked the fluid.
Well, don't do that. That's
Yeah, just wait until it quits.
yeah.
Right?
You check it once and then you're good.
Well, and here's the thing: it may or may not have been the thermostat that caused this to fail. The thermostat may be working properly. You wouldn't know without a temp gun to probe it and see what's going on. It may be that the transmission just started slipping and burnt up. We've got 2 of them in our shop today for this problem, and the thermostats are just fine. They just decided they were going to quit. But that thermostat, yes, has been a substantial problem. We get enough of them that call about them. So I would definitely upgrade it. They have better ones available that you can put on there to prevent this problem and keep it running a little cooler, and some of them flow a little better than the original ones as well. So I guess step 1 would be to replace your thermostat with a better quality one, higher flow, and flush the fluid, and then drive it and see what you got. You can put a scanner on it and read it as it shifts and see if it, a transmission shop could do that. They'd know what to look for to see if there's extra slippage in there at time between shifts to indicate that the clutches have worn severely. You could pull the pan off it, inspect, and see how much clutch material's in there. But, it may be that it's just you've heated it up enough to discolor the fluid, and the fluid will discolor as an indication that it's getting hotter and oxidized, but it doesn't mean that it's trashed yet. It's like a warning light. It's like a check engine light almost. To a certain point, it'll discolor because it's starting to oxidize, and the protective additive packages are disappearing very quickly. When we put in our transmission additive from our partner Justice Brothers, it raises the temperature at which the fluid oxidizes, so the transmission can run a little hotter before the fluid stops being able to protect the transmission. Because it's not so much the heat, to a degree, no pun intended, that is damaging the transmission, but rather the ability of it to lubricate. Because if you've got a fluid that lubricates all the way up to 200 degrees, the transmission's fine because you're not hot enough to melt metal parts yet. But if you've got a fluid that stops lubricating at 165 degrees, you're going to cause damage to metal at anything above 165. So you want to raise that point. So
That 3/4 ton truck should have a transmission temp gauge right in the factory settings, correct?
It doesn't show anything up. I think it's just got a warning.
18
that
should
you're-
have.
Yeah, if you go into the driver's information center, I know I have it on my 18 half ton.
Yeah.
I can't
Vehicle
believe-
information
yeah.
settings.
And you just click through it on you have steering wheel controls, or with a fleet truck you might not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you've clicked through that, there's one that when I'm towing, I leave it on the transmission temp display. And so
there's a setting to display it or not. Go to gauges and then click display, and then it'll say yes or no, on, off, and you can select which ones you want to see.
yeah,
all the time.
depending on which system he's got. Some of them have the upgraded display, and there's 2 different ways of getting at that. But I just leave mine on, and then I can watch my transmission temperature as I'm pulling. And if I see it starting to climb, I know to back off or just let up a little bit. Sometimes we've even stopped. If it's a super windy day and we're loaded up to the edge of the towing limits, there's times where we've just cooled down for a little bit before and then took off again. So that's something that I would do. If you can't find that temperature gauge, I would invest in one, having it installed. If you're somebody that's going to be out pulling that camper, 7,800 pounds, like I said, you're not past the limit, but you're getting close. And heavy winds, grades, big loads in the camper, you might get close. I think you're probably fine. If it's shifting good, working good, you may have lost a little bit of life, but get that baby flush, check everything out, you should be just fine.
Earl, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
866-594-4150 from the Autotempest.com studios. All the cars, one search. Autotempest.com/hoodie. This is the Under the Hood Show. Now let's go to Oklahoma and talk to Bart. Bart, you're on the End of the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Hey guys, thanks for taking the call. Really enjoy your show. I own a 2008 Ford F150 Limited with 5.4 Triton. Got right at 200,000 miles on it. It's a great truck. It rides, really good. I don't drive it a lot these days. But about 50,000 miles ago, I had trouble with the cam phaser and the cam position indicator sensor or whatever all that stuff is.
Yep.
Took it to a local reputable mechanic, and he put a kit in it, or a chip, I think he called it, to basically bypass all that stuff. And it's gotten me another good 50,000 miles out of it. And I'm going to call it regular lifter noise and a little bit of knock, maybe a little flack in it. The truck, the pickup, is worth more to me than I could get out of it. I don't want to get rid of it. I guess my question is, these days, are you better off to go with a crate engine or take it to a good reputable mechanic to have it overhaul that engine itself?
That's a great question, and we have a lot of experience with this. So I appreciate your call, and for those listening out there, and we could have the same conversation about certain years of GM trucks. We could have the certain conversation about certain years of Mopar trucks, and I don't know. I can't do the Toyotas quite as much, but we can do those other ones quite easily. But so don't feel like this is just a one brand type of thing. That engine was used from 2008 to 2013, and it is similar all the way through. And they upgraded it in the next generation of truck, and they had fewer problems, but still some. And what your mechanic did is put a phaser lockout kit in it, most likely, and that is something that can be done to, I'm just going to say, put a Band-Aid on the bigger problem. And I know a lot of people that do that, and that Band-Aid can last, I've seen them last 100,000 plus miles and be just fine, compared to the cost of replacing and then still having the same problem. Because the root issue that happens is a loss of clearance inside the engine, and it's a loss of oil pressure, and that loss of oil pressure does not allow proper functioning of that as engineered of the cam phaser system. So the fix that people will put on them a lot of times is they'll go through and they'll put in new lifters, followers. They got some little spacers and stuff you put in. They've just got everything set up to try to tighten the clearances up to get oil pressure back, basically, to a certain extent. And when they do that, it will sometimes work for a while, but we've more than often than not seen people spend a fair amount of money and end up in the same position either very soon. We've had them as soon as, like, right after we did it, up to tens of thousands of miles. So in our experience, you want to go with a quality remanufactured crate engine that ends up replacing the aluminum on aluminum bores in the camshaft with a bushing setup, like a bearing is, to say it that way. They've expanded the oil system in those. They usually use a high volume oil pump that's a little bit different, and they go in and just really kind of make that thing, I'm going to say, circulate better than it did from the factory, and get that internal oil pressure back all the way through the engine. It's just not at the gauge. It's all the way through the engine. You got to keep that pressure up for that engine to operate the way it should. I'll use the word hundreds of remanufactured engines that we've put in those trucks at the service center, in our own service center. Plus, I could probably say thousands that we've sold to other repair shops that have been replaced with complete crate engines. And the ones that we've always gotten come from a couple different manufacturers that we know take the right steps in their reman process. You want to be very specific about asking those questions. And kind of I guess I'm wrapping this up in a bow because we do get asked this a lot. Your 08 F-150, if you really like the truck and it's not rusty, it's not falling apart, it looks good, it feels good, it's gotten to be a pretty valuable commodity right now in the market.
Mm-hmm.
To replace the truck with a new one that's equivalent, you're going to be spending $60,000, $70,000, and you're going to be waiting to get one, or lucky enough to get on the lot, taking the pick of what they have available, because the market, those quantities are so low.
Another big price hike coming, too.
Yeah, and so if you look at that, you could spend $5,000, $7,000, $8,000 to put a motor in, and know what you have if the rest of the truck is solid. So there's a lot of people doing that. That wasn't the case as much 5 years ago. It's definitely changed the number of people Russ talks about all the time that are saving vehicles.
Oh, yeah. You go to autotempest.com/hoodie and look at the price of any vehicle that you want to sell or buy. Do that. And then you'll go, oh, my gosh, spending $8,000, $9,000, whatever it is to put an engine in mine, and I see all these out there for sale for $19,000, $22,000. Well, that makes perfect sense because what's yours worth with no engine in it?
Well, yeah, and you'd sure hate to go out and spend $17,000 on a used 09, 10 Ford pickup with 120,000 miles on it, only to find out
Same
6 months
problem.
later that you've got to put an engine in it.
And that happens so many times. People have said, I'm just going to sell it, and they sell theirs and then buy another one, and they're calling me back shortly, and they're saying, I need a price on an engine.
And that's where you get into the Carfaxes of the world and the ways that you can have the vehicle history checks have gotten to be quite valuable. For 30-plus years in the show, I've told people to keep receipts of anything you've done to the vehicle. Keep that fat packet with the vehicle if you got it. Sure is a big deal. But nowadays, if you stick with one repair shop and they're on a system like we have with our Mitchell system at our shop, all that stuff is recorded automatically and goes to the data bucket. We don't control it. We sign the contract to use their system. That data flows out to systems like Carfax. And then when you do the reports and get the long report, you can see what's been done to a vehicle. And that's very valuable.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a car, when you search a site, autotempest.com/hoodie, look at the ones that say Carfax certified, things like that. You'll find VIN numbers. When you find those things, search them yourself. Do your own research. Let that dealer that's posting give you their information too. And if you see, you can look through it. You can
look
gain
at
so
it.
much information.
I mean, get that info and don't.
Do a physical vehicle inspection.
Yeah.
But I mean, also look at that info. If it says Carfax certified and doesn't say that
Oh,
work
yeah.
was done, that doesn't help you.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Chris, because some people just see the big sticker and go, oh, it's certified. No. Did you read the information?
Right.
You know, and there's a lot of great bargains on a lot of great cars out there right now.
Does that help you?
Well, yeah, it's exactly that's where I'm at. And I failed to mention, you bring up the oil pressure deal. If I'm going down highway speed and I come up to the first stoplight in town, the oil pressure light just dings and immediately goes off.
If we could play the Bon
So
Jovi song "Living on the Edge" right now, that's your engine. And
You mean living on a prayer?
Living on a prayer. Yeah, thanks. I just did that, didn't I?
You're thinking Aerosmith.
Yeah, I conflated again.
That seems.
Is that an okay slip?
It seems.
I felt
at
like
your
Chris
age.
there for a minute. I actually
Yeah,
got two different bands.
I was
and
gonna let it slide.
No, you can't. You guys got to bust me when I do that because it's fun for me and the listeners. I hope it's embarrassing, but you're just hanging out there waiting for what it's going to happen someday. It's going to get worse, but it could limp along like that for a while. But you're on the edge.
Bart, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Harvey. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Harvey, what can we do for you?
Hey, I am looking to buy either a Chevy Equinox or Ford Escape. What's your ideas on which one is the best that'll last a long time, like 300,000 miles? I like to buy them when they're 70 to 80,000 miles.
That's a hard one.
What's your idea?
What?
Oh,
That's
boy.
a hard. How new are you going to go?
I don't know, 14, 15?
Well, the
16, 17?
yeah,
Like that.
yeah. You're if you're looking at 14, 15, you're looking at one that has a history now with us in our own shop, and listeners calling our radio show and emailing us saying we're having problems with these things at lower miles. You know, like around 100, 140. So we're not seeing as many with the 17s, 18s when you get up there. But if you get one that's already been used by somebody else, we don't know how it's been used, and that is going to be the problem. If you were to buy it brand new, I would say either the Chevy or the Ford would have an equal chance, but you've really got to keep up with the oil system maintenance, and you've got to talk to the mechanic that you trust to ask them, okay, what do you see? What is the best mileage to change oil at with the way I'm driving it? Because for one person, it may be different for a different one and the miles. You know, a
Neither,
lot of
neither or both.
right. They're
This
both
is a hard
good.
one to answer because we've got.
Well, here's an idea. Go to autotempest.com/hoodie. They are our studio sponsors, so we're going to mention it, but it's a great resource for you. Go there, look at the cars, sort by highest miles, and see how long they're lasting. See what they're posting with the highest miles. You know, so when you're looking for a car, and then you can search their site and find the car that's right for you to buy. But when I look for auto parts here, and I look at engines, and I see them, I see 20 of them in our system that have at partners that are 250,000 miles. I know it's good. It's possible it can last a long time.
Harvey, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. That's a tough question to answer.
Yeah, I wanted to get a little more in the weeds on that. He's got to do some research.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150. This is the Under the Hood Show, brought to you by Sturtevant's.
Make a radio appointment each week to hear the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show.
866-594-4150 from the Autotempest.com studios. All the cars, one search. This is the Under the Hood Show. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel and you join the Hoodie fan club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie.
You can win a hoodie like Jill Rassmussen, who listens to us in Reading, Pennsylvania. Congratulations from all of us here under the hood and our friends over at Universal Technical Institute. You find them at uti.edu, and they are your source for all training for the automotive career world. Also, marine mechanics, motorcycle mechanics, welding. You want to go there to get the very best knowledge available to make sure you can start a career with a good background already behind you and get on track. Visit uti.edu.
And get forward with training for EVs.
Everything. Mm-hmm. Everything. EVs, cars. The EVs aren't going to replace gas cars for decades, but they're going to have to be in there as a blend with the gasoline and the biofuel-powered cars in order to make sure that this country can support itself.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Rob. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Rob, what can we do for you?
I got a 2013 Tribeca with a 3.6 in it. Bought it in 14 with 25,000 miles. I got 138 on it now. Change the oil every 5,000 miles with full synthetic. It's always used about a quart of oil for oil change. And my last oil change, I've got 4,000 miles on it now, and I've added my third quart of oil. Any help there?
Well, it's not a good thing. You know that. That's why you're calling. And to go through that much oil, we're going to want to make sure and check, though, just all the periphery stuff that you can. There's a lot of vehicles that can get problems with their positive crankcase vent system. There's a lot of vehicles that and even though you've been a good oil changer, it sounds like, how quick do you rack up that 5,000 miles?
I run about 800 to 1,000 a week.
Okay, so you're putting on some good miles, getting it heated up and running through things. But there's a lot of vehicles that we're seeing from people that they integrate this valves into the valve covers and they get crudded up, and then the next thing you know, they're kind of pulling that oil mist back into the intake system and burning extra oil. And if you get that cleaned up or replace some of those parts, we've seen people get corrections, but it's usually what you're hoping for, but it's not as often what you find when you're looking at an oil consumption. But it's just something you want to pay attention to. Also want to make sure you have no external leaks. Look underneath. Make sure you don't have any extra moisture that's hitting your belly pan or underneath the floor pan of maybe there's a seeping external leak from a head gasket or a oil line or something like that. I mean, that's what we want to look for. If not, and it's internal, there are certain engines that they have cleaning processes that they'll try to use to clean up ring landings and really try to work on the internals of the engine and see if they can free things up a little bit. That's a hopeful
A lot
move.
of miles. It's probably pretty clean in there.
It's hopeful, but otherwise it sounds like you're starting to get some internal wear more so than you'd expect at that age. Russ, you got anything else to offer as far as that goes? What would be?
That's exactly what I would do. PCV, check it over. But yeah, that thing's it's maybe just wear. We see a lot of these that have had internal failures because with oil burning. Just what they do. Some of them are great, some of them not so great, unfortunately.
This is the Boxster engine, 3.6. It's used commonly in a lot of their vehicles, and there's a high majority of them, like Russ said, that are 100% just fine, but we just see enough of them that burn oil. It's just something you got to pay attention to now. You might check with the dealer and see what they've got for Boltons available, and if there's anything that they're recommending. Like I said, there are some ones that they say, nope, if you're starting to get some oil consumption, you do this, and take care of it. But it's not always the case.
Doesn't sound like it in this case.
I'm if I was going to give odds on it being a bigger problem that is going to require a replacement engine or a short block or something, 40% that you could save it and 60% that it's probably went the wrong way.
Okay. Russ?
I'd agree.
Okay. Rob, good luck.
concur.
Thanks very much for the call. Sorry it's not. I mean, check the drain plug, too. Make sure it's not.
Well, and we always want to have people do an oil test, but he sounds like he's watching it really close.
Right.
You want to be able to get into whatever the vehicle is. You want to get in and get it topped off, figure out where you're at, really watch it close, make sure you got the right quantity of oil. Take the oil out, plug it up, make sure you got the factory right quantity in there.
Rob, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Kentucky and talk to Michael. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Michael, what can we do for you?
Yes, my grandmother has I think it's either a 99 or 2000 GMC Sierra 1500 with the 5.3. And she's having intermittent issues where the truck will crank, but it won't start. And she wants me to look at it. And unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of experience with the GM products. And I believe her security light comes on. She says that sometimes she can go out there, turn the key, crank it, try it a few times, wait half an hour or so, come back out, and it'll fire right up. And I just didn't know if it had something to do with that security system that if that still had the chip in the key, or if you had any ideas what to even start to look at.
Yeah, I think it's very likely you've got an issue going on with that key and that lock cylinder in there. We see so many of them that do that, and usually it's as simple as replacing the lock cylinder with the key and then reprogramming it, and it's good to go. The key there, otherwise it's just a day of these, isn't it, is that you've got a security light. If you've got a security light, it's telling you there's a mismatch going on there, and you could put a scanner on it, read it. You got a code that says invalid passcode received from the key. Well, then you know you got something going on with that key. There's some modules in there and stuff, but typically it's almost always the lock cylinder that's failing in there.
And we've had people oftentimes grab, if they've got a backup key they haven't used for a while, you can try that. And just sometimes that different key in there will be just enough of a change with the higher ridges on the key cylinder, that haven't worn off quite as much. It can help it get by for a little bit. So if you've got a second key that hasn't been used for a while, go ahead and try that if you don't have time to get the actual repair done, if that's what it ends up being.
Thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Chuck. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Chuck, what can we do for you? You have a dinging sound, Chuck. Your key is in the ignition and your door is open. Solved that one. There, perfect.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was the problem. Chuck, go ahead.
Hey guys, good morning. Say I've got a 2003 F250 Super Duty 7.3 diesel. Use it as a plow truck and just a general work truck. And recently the transmission's been overheating to the point where it's at the high side, into the high side of the gauge on the cluster there. Changed the fluid. The magnet had some stuff on it. It wasn't horrible. There's 170,000 on this truck. Guess my question is, at what point do I, look at changing out the transmission or a rebuild or something like that, or you got any other suggestions?
Well, if it's generating the heat that quickly, you want to check and make sure that all your sensors are correct. Do your diagnostics. Make sure that your cooler is intact and clean, and you don't have any problems with airflow, because that can be an issue. But if it's gaining temperature that fast, it's typically because it's slipping internally. And you said you're aware of that. Most likely that's what's going on. But if you catch it soon enough, if there are still repair shops, transmission shops in most communities that are going to be able to go in and do a in-house rebuild, and that's gotten to be more popular of late because of national shortages of remanufactured product. And if that remanufactured product's not available, you sure don't want to have a transmission that you just launch into space because you've abused it for so long, because you may or may not be able to get all the parts to fix it. And so
That's
just
so
a challenge.
What do
that's
you
just
think?
a challenge.
Yeah, it is. It is. I've got a used truck that I can buy potentially with the new transmission in it, and I'm kind of leaning towards that route. But if I drive down the road all day long, it won't overheat. It's just when it's under plowing or pulling a heavier trailer. So
What do you think, Russ?
I'm guessing clutch plates are.
Well, you need to flow test that cooler first. Get it warm.
Okay.
Flow test it. Gloves so you don't burn your hand. It's going to be pretty warm. Temp probe so you can see what the actual temp is. Make sure it's not super hot, but thermostatically controlled. If you've got a problem with the thermostat in that trans cooler, or you got a cooler that's collapsing inside, it's just not able to flow, and it could flow all day long. We see radiators when they start to plug up with bugs or they get scaled up inside, they'll work fine all day long. Put a load on them or really drive them hard down the interstate, and they'll start to creep up, but you slow down, they're fine. But maybe the transmission isn't completely failed yet, but it's getting hot because we've got flow issue. And you can get on the internet and look up charts of how many pints per so many seconds is accurate for that transmission. You want to check that cooler first and make sure it's flowing, because if you check it and you find out that thing is not flowing at all, which is possible, or because it's a bypass cooler, it doesn't cool every pint of fluid, that could do it right there. We put a lot of coolers on when we're putting transmissions in.
Chuck, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Car feeling ill? Don't want to spread it to your wallet? Call the Motor Medics now for free advice.
866-594-4150 from the Autotempest.com studios. All the cars, one search. Autotempest.com/hoodie. This is the Under the Hood Show. Now let's talk to Jim. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Jim, what can we do for you?
Yeah, I've got a 99 Chevy 3500 pickup with a 450 Ford in it. And having problems with it. Doesn't want to idle when you're coming to a stop sign, you're in drive, it doesn't want to idle. And when you go to put it in reverse, it doesn't want to idle.
Sounds like it could be a million different things, but
a million?
So many, probably a million. I don't you'd have to add a lot of variations up.
On a 99 454?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, this wire could have 8 ohms or it could have 13. Yeah.
Let's cut it down to 500,000 at least.
How about one? Look at your EGR system on it. Make sure that if you just start it up and put it in drive and you're just sitting there and not moving, will it idle?
Well, it gets worse. When you first start it up, it's fine. When it warms up, the motor gets warm, then it's worse.
Okay. Try to unplug that EGR valve. Unplug the vacuum line for that's electric. Unplug, just disconnect it and see if it goes away. And then the next thing you'll need to do, you're going to have to do some testing, but I'm thinking, at home, there's only so many things you can do to test it. But if that, you might take the EGR valve off and look at it, and you'll have to get a gasket. They're like $3 today. They might be
They
30,
were at one time $3.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Might be 30 today.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if it's leaking through, it'll cause an issue with the fuel ratio, and it'll make it run horrible. But these things have been known for EGR passing gases at idle, and it will die. Yeah, it'll die unless your foot's really into it. You know, at idle speeds, it's going to die accelerating in reverse. They seem to be really bad for whatever reason compared to drive, but that's something.
It's a lot worse in reverse.
Yeah, that's something to take a look at. You got a different gear ratio there too, so it's lugging it down and a lower RPM. So check into that. Make sure that's not failing. But then everything else is going to be something you need to do with a scan tool, checking of fuel pressures and things like that. But typically, if it accelerates good down the road, if you're really standing on it, it's usually not a fuel pressure issue because it needs more fuel pressure to accelerate.
And that's a thirsty engine.
Yeah. So if it's doing it at idle, I got to look at things that are controlling the air ratio. You know, we could have a map sensor that's a little skewed, but boy, the EGR on those we had so many of them that came in with problems with that that's one of the first things I would look at for failing. And you could also check it with a heat gun with a little infrared temp probe, see if on the manifold where it's bolted on there, if it's dumping hot gases past it at idle after you first start it, then it's a good indication it's leaking as well. So that's one of the first places we lean to when we're diagnosing one of those.
How many miles per dollar do you get with that truck?
A whole mile?
Yeah, well, it's only got 600. It's got 620,000 original miles on it.
And that engine's all original?
On the original motor.
Well, wow.
Yes.
That ring the bell on that one.
No kidding.
That EGR is probably
plugged. And
get you a golf clap for that.
And the original transmission.
So you're doing a lot of highway driving with this truck?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's obviously you get that many miles on there, but that's impressive for one of those trucks. Usually at some point in their life they've gotten, the RPMs have gotten too high and they've lost a bearing in them or something. I mean, that's darn impressive.
So when I take that and divide it by an average of 7 miles per gallon or so, I'm coming up with a little over 88,000 gallons of gasoline. That's a lot. And then we take that times an average of what indicated you get 99.
Well, it wasn't always that price.
Let's say $1.50.
There we go.
Average over
that's
all
low.
the years.
That's low.
That's $132,000 in fuel you've put in that truck. Was it worth it? Did it make you money?
I've gotten a lot of good use out of it.
Good. If it's making you money, that's good for
I remember paying $4 a gallon back when Obama was president too.
08, yeah. We had some thirsty vehicles back then. So I think in the life of that truck, 99, we probably saw as low as by maybe $1.10, $1.20 when they had like the really, oh my gosh, it's cheap today, as high as $4. So
I remember early 2000s it got up there too, back in the day. So yeah, I bet. Oh, that would be a fun figure to try and come
there is
up
a
with.
point too in this
Not
engine.
for Jim.
There is a point in this engine too where health of the engine is going to make it hard to run at lower RPMs.
yeah, it's not going to have enough vacuum. You might put a vacuum gauge on it and just see if it can actually hold a vacuum. I mean, if you're down around 5-6 inches of vacuum, it's just toast.
You just could be just tired. So
It's got to be tired. I'd be
guarantee
tired
it.
at 600,000.
yeah, I'm tired talking about it. Wow.
Jim, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Rob in Idaho. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Rob, what can we do for you?
Hi, guys. Hey, I had a question for you. Recently, I picked up a 94 Ford F150. Got 195,000, I think, miles on that engine. Know the history on it pretty well. It's my buddy's kid's rig. But thing just leaking, like I said, just out of about every seal. So yanked it out and was planning on just putting a long block in, but about impossible to find right now. Our biggest builder up here, S&J, here out of Spokane, they can't even get parts. They spend most of their time trying to find parts. They're getting oil pumps out of Georgia from O'Reilly's and things like that. So my question was, your estimation, is it even worth just re-ringing this engine, or should I just wait and right now I was going to get it to the machine shop and have it bored out and all that, but most of those guys are behind by several months as well because everybody's having to rebuild right now.
What is your plans with the truck once you get it back together? I'm not trying to say, are you trying to just slide this thing through somewhere, or what's your plans? Is this something you're going to enjoy?
No. I'll give it to my future ex-son-in-law.
Okay. We might have to stop the show on that one.
We'll just gloss over that.
I'd be tempted, if you know the history on the truck and it's been maintained well and it runs well, I'd be tempted to reseal it.
Well, if it runs good now, put your name on the list, put a down payment down, and wait for the parts to come in if you're still driving.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing the work yourself, reseal it and put it back in and run it.
You could probably re-ring it.
What would you do, Russ?
If it was running good now, I'd probably order the engine and wait if it was running good. But if it was dead right now, if it had some weak compression and stuff in it, I'd probably tear it down, measure the cylinders, and if they're not egg-shaped or really worn out, and I could just hone it and put some rings in it, I'd probably re-ring it, put bearings in it, put all new seals in it, put it back together, save myself a ton of cash as opposed to a crank kit and pistons and boring and all the machine work, and drive it.
Did you say you had the motor out of it already?
Yeah, I went ahead and pulled it out, tore it down. Got hardly any ridges in the cylinders. Valves all seemed pretty good. I did. I was going to pick up a new exhaust valves just because they're pitted a bit. Laughed them, and that didn't get the pits out. So it'll get new exhaust valves no matter what. So that's kind of where I'm leaning, is towards just the owning that thing and re-ringing it. 'Cause it's got hardly rise.
You can measure it. Buy yourself a dial indicator off of Amazon for, $30 and, measure them, all the way down to the bottom, different positions, and see if they're symmetrical. And there's not, and you'll look at the spec, what the factory says for spec on a bore. And if that's still good for the bore size, hone it. And if you can hone it and get all the glaze off it without going over the spec or the, stock standard pistons and rings, and you could do that. Not a lot of people doing that anymore, but on the older one like that.
Just like I mentioned earlier on the transmission phone call, I think we're starting to see more people appreciate the actual bench build of things because they can't get the replacements like they used to.
Yeah, tear them down, replace only what needs to be replaced in a lot of stuff. And that's for the true craftsman people out there. It's just not being done as much.
The dealerships, by order of the manufacturer, have been doing more and more of this. They've done it for a while that way. I mean, I had a truck years ago, just a few years ago, with a front differential issue, and I really lobbied to try to just get them to get a replacement front differential because it had been apart twice. But their spec from the dealer was, no, we do ring gear and pinion, we do side bearings, and that's what we do, and that's what they did. So, but I mean, there is getting to be more and more of that where they say, hey, why don't you just take the head off? We're going to put a short block in it. Why don't you take there's getting to be more and more of that. So,
Rob, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. It sounds like he's going to be fine with that. I mean, he's going to...
I didn't realize he had tore the motor down already. Right. I thought he had just taken it out.
For sure.
If he had just taken it out, I would have sealed that baby back up, got rid of the oil leaks, and put it back in until times were better, or it is probably going to run another 50,000 miles.
That'll do it for this hour of the Under the Hood Show. Hour 2 is coming up. 866-594-4150.
You're listening to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics, Shannon Nordstrom and Russ the Super Tech Evans. Shannon is an ASE engine and parts specialist, and Russ is an ASE Master Certified Technician with extensive factory drivability training. Join the Motor Medics for fun and free automotive advice with real-world solutions to everyday automotive problems. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations across the U.S. Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value only and as a guide to your repair needs. No claim to repair or cause is given or implied. Always consult with your own certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting any repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive, Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood show from the Autotempest.com studios. All the cars, one search. This is the Under the Hood show. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Hello, everybody.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, Hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
Thank you for being a responsible pillar of announcing there. I appreciate that because I never know what he's going to do, but you I can count on, Shannon. Thank
I even
you.
gave a dramatic pause that time.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594.
Hello, my friends.
4150. Let's go right to the phones. We've had some folks waiting while we start up here, so let's talk to Bob in Minnesota. Bob, you're on the Under the Hood show. What can we do for you?
Oh, I got a 97 Ranger, 2.3 manual, 5-speed. The drivability problem, it'll start on 4 and just sitting there idling. It idles nice. And if I rev it, then it'll start missing and run really rough. And then I let off, and then after a while it smoothens out again. And when I drive it, I'll take off. It's 1.5 miles down to the highway. And I'll just take it easy. I get down there, and it's running on 4. And then I start accelerating, and then it starts missing and running really poor and rough again and really poor power. Sometimes, not necessarily when it's cold, but when it warms up, if I shut the key off and turn it back on, it seems to snap out of it. But it's not 100%. I've been trying to get it, find some consistency there so we could troubleshoot it.
Okay.
And the person I bought it from said he replaced all electronic stuff, and he just thought it was mechanical, but, we've had the valve cover off, and there's no broken springs. It's got 297 on it.
That Ranger was probably made in Minnesota, too.
Yeah.
You think it was
Yeah,
the St.
I
Paul
think so.
plant?
Yep, that's what I think.
All right, so it was already broken when you bought it. And they were trying
Well,
to fix it.
the story, I got it from my cousin way back. They were 7 to 10 years ago. And then my son needed one. And then I was doing it then, and then my son messed with it some, and then this person, wrecked their pickup, and they needed a pickup, so my son sold it to him.
When he started the call, I was like, okay, it was like, I got a 97 Ranger, 2.3 liter 5-speed. It was just like, yeah, I do.
Did you catch the miles on that 2.3?
200,000 miles? That's amazing.
No, more.
290.
Yeah.
297, I think.
They
94.
They typically didn't last that long.
No, they're usually done at that point. So, leak down test, compression test, does it have any compression? Does it, what's the leak down on? And also 290,000 miles. When was the last?
What was that?
When was the last time it had a fuel pump in it, or even a fuel filter?
I don't think we ever. We changed the fuel filter. It's rusty on there. It was really ugly. Well, this friend of mine got a auto shop there. He figured, that should be simple.
You better check the pressure of that, because those pumps at about 100,000 miles were already dropping out. We've seen so many of those where they'll idle just fine because they'll get enough fuel flow and pressure. But when you put them under a load, no pressure, no flow, and they choke and don't want to go, and then boom, fuel pump, and they pick right back up. They're back to life. So who knows? Maybe the motor's still in good shape. I would want to know. If it's quiet, I still want to know what the compression
Yeah,
and leak
step
down
one
is
would
of
be,
that,
what's the health of this thing with that
because
many miles on it?
Maybe it's in really good shape yet. It's a lot of highway miles. It almost have to be that many years. Unless it was like an Amazon
So do
delivery
a
truck.
compression and leak down test, see what the health of the cylinders are, would be step one for us. And if everything looks healthy and, at least within some reasonable spec with that many miles, it might be a little bit low, but don't be surprised. But make sure everything's even. You don't have any holes that are way worse than the others. Then start working down the line to make sure you've got good fuel flow and fuel pressure. And then you still got to get to the basics again yet with the coils and spark and plugs. Make sure that's all been taken care of.
All right. Here's so this truck running. If this truck is running well, you're going to use this thing every day, right? Somebody's going to drive it.
Yeah, it's going to be my parts chaser and whatever,
There you go, Shannon. Every week, older and older and older vehicles being used as daily drivers now. Maybe a year ago we would have said, well, we're just going to try to find something else with a little less miles, a little newer. Not anymore. This is the way to go. So we may become that society of let's rebuild what we have. Now that 2.3, that actually isn't too hard to rebuild. And I would almost bet dollars. Not too many though. I'd bet some of your money, Shannon. Like maybe
Sure
you
would.
Yeah,
maybe some of Chris's. Yeah. That you could find rebuild parts for that engine because there's a lot less of a demand, and they've been out there for a while.
They're probably sitting in a corner of a shelf somewhere.
Don't try to find a fuel pressure regulator for it. You never will. But everything else, you could take that thing apart. It doesn't have. I mean, if it's getting really, if you find out the compression's low and everything, yeah, you could take that block down and have your builder bore it out. It's just a 4-cylinder. The price per hole's not that expensive on it. Bore it out, put pistons and rings in it. You buy a rotating kit for it. If you do it yourself, I bet you could probably do it at today's prices. $1,800, $2,000.
If you take a look at that truck, we'd wrap it up here, but if that health of the engine is good, then at least it's an OBD2. You're going to be able to hook up to it and watch. If the problems are consistent, you'll be able to watch and see what's happening. And you'll be able to watch it on a graphing if you don't do that yourself, but someone that is skilled with their tools can watch this thing and see what is happening when it starts failing if it's not an engine health issue. We've kind of really went down that road because you told us the miles. So you may have just tricked us into thinking about that. Mm-hmm. But it is important, especially with an engine that old. But it is new enough that somebody can monitor this as it's running and actually see what might be happening a lot easier than if this was a 93 Ranger.
97 is just, it's not even old anymore. I mean, it seems like it because it's a Ranger, but 16 years, 15 years is not. We constantly get calls that are that age.
No,
you know
it's
what
like
I mean?
it's like the show stepped back in time. It was in the late 2000s, and now it's like we're going back. I would like to see what the actual current running average is for the average age.
I haven't seen a national average for a while, but it has to have increased.
25.
Yeah. It was 12.
25, not 15.
But it's
my
gotta be
mistake.
up there.
I was doing that, Matt. Did you see me over here?
Yeah.
All right. I was like,
I'm
is that
okay.
right?
Never mind. Edit that out. Let's hit the delay. Let's skip that. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150. We'll just edit that out. We'll fix that in post. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Get your planner out right now and schedule your next radio appointment with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150 from the Autotempest.com studios. All the cars, one search. Autotempest.com/hoodie. Use the /hoodie. It helps us out. This is the Under the Hood Show, 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Travis. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Travis, what can we do for you?
Hey, guys. I got a 02 Park Avenue. It's got 140 on it. Had to put a transmission in, put a used transmission in, and it upshifts really hard. Like, especially if you happen to let off the throttle right before it decides to shift, then it really bangs into the next gear. The only code that was in it after the transmission was done was for a mass airflow sensor. Cleared it, it came back, put in a Delphi mass airflow sensor. Doesn't seem to make a difference, but it has kept the light off.
Still showing mass airflow code in it?
Hold on a second. I want to. 2002.
Nope.
That means it's 7 years old. Okay, go ahead. Are you?
Thanks
Are
for
you
that,
sure?
Chris.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
All right. So you do or do not have a
No
mass airflow?
no code. Nope, no code for mass airflow anymore.
Okay. So it's all gone, but it still shifts hard.
Yes.
So check so you put a brand new mass airflow sensor on it?
Yes.
Okay. Make sure it's not dirty. Shine a light in the hole where the sensor goes and make sure that wire doesn't have anything on it, because if it's not reading correctly, you can have some issues there, but still not set a code. And then use a scanner and check and see what the throttle position is doing. Make sure it's accurate. Down at idle, it's going to be around like 0.6 volts, something like that. And then as you accelerate, it'll go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure it's not too high, because if it's too high, but it's pretty steady as it goes, it's going to think it has more load on it, needs to increase the pressure in the transmission. If those things are accurate, it may be that you have a problem with the pressure control solenoid in the transmission. The force motor in there has got the pressure up on the higher end, and it needs to be replaced. If it's not throwing codes, it's got to be failed within its range. So that's where we go.
And would the scanner also show you that if the clutch packs themselves were not, if they were max adapt or that sort of thing?
Max adapt, long shift, and if you get that on a Transit,
it could be that transmission just isn't in good shape. I mean, it happens. We sell used products, and we sell a lot of them, and the majority of them work just fine. But there are times that we run into one that, gosh darn it, this one's got a problem.
Or we get a rebuilt that was put in, and one of the lip seals was torn a little bit or something, and it's blowing pressure by instead of holding it in the clutch pack. And the transmission for one gear tries to make up for its loss, so it increases it full for that one, and it's nice and smooth in the one gear.
And then it slams the next one.
Yeah, reverse or overdrive. But every one of them is increased now, so it's boom, 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 shifts hard. That's why the GM cars like this, the Monte Carlos and everything, they shift so hard when they start to fail. Except in the gear, they're like, well, it works really good from second to third, but every other gear is really hard. It's like, well, there are failures in second to third. It's losing pressure there, and because it's increased the pressure so high, it's made up for the loss in that gear, and it feels great. But the rest of them are going, hey, we're fine. Don't be overbearing on it.
But there again, that max shift or max adapt, that'll throw a code, right?
Yep. The death code, we call it.
So
you got the death card.
So let's go back doing that.
So let's go back and look at that pressure solenoid if we start working our way back.
Yeah, if they're all good, if there's no codes in it, then yeah, let's check it and see. Maybe we just got a problem with that pressure control solenoid in there.
Did that help you out there, Travis?
Sure did. Thanks, guys.
And thanks, Travis. Thanks for the call. And it's not a bad. It helps them out, and it's not terrible news, because if you tell them to crush it, that also helps them get the answer, but it's not a good answer. This one was fine. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Michigan and talk to Joel. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Joel, what can we do for you?
Hey, I've got a 2015 Silverado 1500 with a 5.3 in it. I guess a precursory question before the real one. What's you guys' opinion on the alternating between the V4 and the V8? Is that something that is worth getting disabled? I've heard mixed opinions on it.
I've had that system on 14 or newer Silverados on two different trucks, and drove one to 100,000 miles, and I got the other one to about 70,000 miles now, and I have had no desire or reason to change that system. And I do a little bit of pulling in the wintertime with snowmobile trailer. I will do a little bit of pulling in the summertime if I can keep the trailer on its wheels.
I got to apologize, because now every time you mention towing or anything,
I can't be an expert anymore.
I just go.
Once you roll a trailer, you can't be an expert anymore. Yeah. But the in that newer generation of the truck, top tier fuels, good fuel treatments every once in a while, because you got that high pressure injectors now, gas injectors, because that's a direct injected engine, and good oil system clean, or good oil changes. I would not touch that system in one of the newer ones myself. I would leave it alone, and it doesn't engage that often. And my own opinion is I would leave it alone.
That's more of like the thing I've heard with them is that they just stop shutting after a while. They just run normal and stop even trying to shut down cylinders.
Well, it just in that system, and what we've seen, unless Russ, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Russ, we haven't seen that system causing engine failures as much as we did in the previous generation of that system.
Right.
Not that we haven't seen it, but not near as much as the previous generation.
All right, so what's your real question,
Because they updated that system so it can operate completely different than the first generation of that system in that engine. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, so the reason I asked is, I got 224,000 miles on it, and late last year I started seeing metal shavings on my dipstick. And I've done regular oil changes on the thing since I've had it, which I actually got it with 196,000 miles on it. But the only other thing is last summer I was swamped with work, and so I took it in to have an oil change instead of doing it myself. And I wasn't sure if they put the wrong oil in it or what, but I had a friend recommend that just do engine flushes on the oil every 3,000 to 5,000 miles on it, and I was just wondering if there's anything else I should be doing.
That's about it right there is more frequent oil changes and watch it real close, monitor it, but it could have something coming apart on the cam causing this issue. But the longer you go on oil changes, the more wear we see and the earlier the failures. I'd have to say of all the hundreds of engines that we replace in our shop, 90% of them were oil system failure issues. Either they were too long on an oil change, ran out of oil for some reason because they were burning oil, but most of it comes around to the frequency of oil changes, and whether that's the current driver of the vehicle or the person who originally owned it for the first 3 years, you just don't know. But I can tell you in our shop, as many oil changes as I do, if I take 10 oil changes and average them, the average overage on a car is about 5,000 miles.
The average?
Average over when it is due.
I can see that.
It's
I can understand.
I'm telling you, it says if the sticker on it says 10,000 miles and it was supposed to be changed at 15, they've got 20 or 22 on it on that oil. I mean, it's like, wow, people, why are you doing
Let's hope they've
that?
had another change somewhere there they didn't
No,
document. Oh, my
we
goodness.
asked them, have you changed your oil? No, I hadn't got around to it. It's expensive.
I know it said I was supposed to. I saw this.
They're like, and my light came on my dash. I'm like, don't pay attention to the light. Look at the sticker. That tells you when it was put in, and that's an accurate reading. It's like your miles per gallon. It's never exactly right.
I want to just jump in for the people who go 5,000 over.
Regularly.
To me, it happens because for whatever reason, I don't have my odometer showing all the time. And even if I did, I wouldn't maybe see it.
Are you on Trip a lot?
I'm in Trip or I'm in...
Gosh, Chris, I can't
I'm
remember the last time I changed your oil. Was it before Christmas?
Quiet. I'm in temp.
Seriously.
I'm looking at the...
So he's not even in your average that you're doing.
No, he might be due. Because I think it was before Christmas, so that would have to be. I bet he's 5,000-6,000 over now if he hasn't gone somewhere else.
I have no idea.
He puts a lot of miles.
Well, there you
Check
go.
it
On
today.
my daily driver, I have no idea because it doesn't show the odometer. I have to shut off the car. It's fine. It's not my fault. It's not our fault. It's not me and Joel's fault. It happens.
But Joel sounds like
Joel's fine.
He got
I'm
a
sorry,
pretty good
Joel.
routine. We shouldn't pick on Joel.
I threw you under the bus there, Joel. I apologize.
Joel's been
trying to
changing
deflect.
his.
We're talking to other people.
But somebody before he owned it.
Yeah, you don't know what that first life was
No.
like. That's for sure. Well, all the best, Joel. I mean, I will tell you that 224 is a big number. I know my dad bought a used 2014 new generation truck, recently, just trying to find another pickup to drive around, and he had to pay a lot of money for it. And that truck had 170,000 miles when he bought it.
Sounds good.
And it works good, sounds good. He had a service history of the person that owned it before. It was well cared for, and it seems to be chugging right along. Now, don't know what, as you get
What's
that many
next?
miles,
Yeah.
things can happen, but right now, sounds really good and works really good.
Joel, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show. 866-594-4150. E4150 from the Autotempest.com studios. All the cars, one search. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and join the Hoodie fan club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Scott Rudolph, who listens to us in Liberal, Kansas.
Congratulations
from our friends over at Universal Technical Institute, uti.edu. Marine mechanics, car engine mechanics, truck engine mechanics, welding.
I'm gonna see if I can talk my daughter into going there. She's just finishing up her first year of college. I think I'm gonna see if I can.
Does she have a thing yet? She knows what she's gonna do?
Yeah.
Is it marine mechanics?
No,
Car mechanics?
I'm thinking marine. If I can push her to marine and I could get a boat, right? That's what I want.
I think you should supplement her with welding because you always want to kind of make things for the backyard.
Yeah.
And if she could make you just a really cool grow stand.
Yeah, that sounds like
for
it would
your
work.
Vegetables and stuff.
That I would tell her what to make me. That seems like it's a really good idea. We'll see how it even goes when I mention any of it. We'll just move on from that, I think.
She could get like a job for the summer when she's off school at a lake, and then she could learn about boats.
She could get me a deal and then fix it. This is
A deal.
Yeah. Well, what doesn't work, she's gonna fix it. She's a marine mechanic, and I'm gonna get her working on fiberglass. It's just this is all gonna work out. I feel really good about this.
You remember I quit that gig, right?
Yeah.
Of course, we do live in South Dakota.
Yeah, that's why I want her to move somewhere else. And either way.
All right.
Let's talk to Brad in North Dakota. Brad, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Hey, I got a 1999 F250 diesel, and it's been sitting for quite a spell here, and we got it up and running there. We changed the fuel filter, and she just seems like a pooch. It's got a 5-speed in it, and I just don't have any power. And we changed it, and every once in a while it would even cut out going down the road. We changed the cam sensor in it, and I'm just kind of puzzled there. It doesn't sound like any injectors are bad. If she doesn't lope or run uneven, I just don't know what else a guy could do.
Is there a family of chipmunks that made a home up in the exhaust or something?
Well, yeah, right. The air filters are clean. I thought, I had an old 78 Ford one time, and the converter got plugged, and we took that bugger off and just put a test tube in there, and she woke up like no tomorrow. But that was solid full. But I don't know what could be the case here, and I was just kind of reaching out outside the perimeter to figure out what in the world could probably be.
How big is the perimeter?
Well, it depends where you're standing.
I was reaching outside the perimeter, and my curiosity was just how big that is. And so that's awesome.
How long has it been sitting?
Well, it's probably been sitting for the last 2 years, probably, yep.
And when it was
drained the fuel out of it, put the fuel in there, yep, did that.
And when it was put away, it was running good, as far as you remember?
Yeah, it was running pretty, it was running, yep, what I know of.
And have you been driving nothing but sports cars and high-powered vehicles since then?
Well, I don't know about that. It's, I've had great power behind the wheel, sitting in the seat, but there's just something missing here, I feel.
Because I know there's times where I've had vehicles that I've driven other stuff for a while.
Yeah.
And then I get in an older vehicle and I take off in it, and I'm like, there's something wrong with this?
Yeah, exactly.
But you've got a hunch of what's happening here. You're not getting any power out of that diesel, and we'll help you check a few things here.
Well, you got to have boost and you got to have fuel to make a diesel go. That's the place you get your power from. So you got to put a boost gauge on it. Find out.
To see if the turbo's spooling up or not, but I mean, it just something's going on.
Yeah, you're going to need to find out if you're getting enough pressure on that gauge, and then if you are getting enough pressure there, then you're not getting enough fuel. And diesel pumps, when they sit for a couple years, they can have issues inside them with valves on those pumps. So It's possible there's a fuel delivery issue going on there, but you could have not enough boost as well, or a combination of both. It's a diagnostic, step-by-step process to find out what's going on. But
Could have a wastegate that's stuck from sitting there for so long.
Sure.
On the turbo side of things, and that would make it really feel weird, depending on which position it's stuck in.
Yeah, diesels don't like to sit though for a long time. When that diesel fuel, when it starts to go bad, it can go do all.
Well,
sorts
if
of
it's
weird
an
stuff.
if it's an old international tractor or something, the people leave them sitting for years, and sometimes they fire them right back up. But this more modern,
big old
I'd call this
mechanical
a more modern
Yeah.
diesel power plant. That 6-liter diesel. That is a 6-liter, right? Not a 7.3. 03 could be either one. No, 02 could be either one. I had to think about that for a second.
7.3.
It is a 7.3 on this one.
Oh,
here.
so it's an early 03 with a 7.3 because it was the split year. Okay. Or 99. Why do I think it was an 03?
Chris has got you 10 years newer.
We got our numbers all screwed up, and we got our bands screwed up
doing my math.
this show.
Yeah.
Living on the edge on my math.
Uh-huh.
You are. No, 7.3, that is a more conventional diesel. That's not as fancy of a diesel by any means. I would be checking the turbo wastegate and that sort of stuff. That's where I would be starting.
That help you out there, Brad?
Yeah. I haven't checked that, to be honest with you.
They are prone to stick when they sit for a while, and if it's stuck in the wrong position, that could be a power stopper pretty easy.
Brad, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Shirley. You're on the Under the Hood show. Shirley, what can we do for you?
Oh, I got a silly question for you. I have a 15 Equinox. It's got under 80,000 on it. I use a full synthetic, and I change it. Well, when it gets to 4,000, and I start checking the percentage, and when it gets down about 20%, I change it. Is that okay, or should I stick to the 4,000?
I would be on a 15 Equinox. I would never go over 3, and I tell you that because we have way more calls than we can get engines for in our shop for that engine.
2.4-liter engine in there, correct?
4-cylinder.
Yep.
Yeah, they fail like crazy, and it's every one of them that has failed except for one that's been in our shop, and we're talking a couple hundred of them, has been because of an oil system failure. It's not because of anything else. The one that failed was just last week, and we were surprised. It just exploded, but it was beautiful inside. It was like brand new. But all the other ones had sludge in them, just horrible. The one with last one we did was so bad, and she said she'd been changing for the last 3 years. She'd been changing it about every 3 months, and it was still completely sludged up. But the person who had it before, you do a Carfax service history, and if that was accurate, wow. Way off on oil changes. So,
have you owned this all the way through, Shirley?
I bought it at about 17,000, 18,000.
So you've most of its life you've owned it.
It was used, but it's almost since it was brand new.
Has it had
But if you pull the dipstick,
has it had the valve cover update done to it?
Dipstick, the oil feels. No, I haven't done anything to it.
And I don't know if all of them, but there was a number of them that they had a valve cover update you would do to them to make sure the PCV was
that one does
working.
Yeah.
And so that's something you want to pay attention to as far as future service
it'll
to pay
start
attention
gumming
to.
up the rings and killing it. I'd have.
We don't want to
update
make this
done for
sound
sure.
tragic, but we just see enough of this that we want you to be mindful of the situation.
And there's a lot of them, too.
Oh,
So,
there's
I mean,
a ton of them out there. They
yeah.
sold a bazillion of them.
Mm-hmm.
But make sure that you're keeping that oil change at that 4,000 is the max. I mean,
That dash, if you watch that dash, I mean, it could go 6, 8, 9,000 miles. That's way too much. And they say, well, why would the manufacturer do that, not the dealer? Why would they set that to go that many miles if it's not good for it? Well, they only have to warranty it for 36,000 miles or 3 years. You could not change the oil, just make sure it stays full, and it'll make it 36,000 miles. May not make it much past that, but
now they don't mean to do that. I want to jump.
no, it's a great selling point.
Right,
That's
but
exactly why they do it, Chris.
You think that?
Yeah, I
know?
know. So when I was working for Ford, they told us that. They said we are going longer and longer and longer on these because it's a great selling point. Chris, if I tell you only have to change your car your oil when this light comes on, and it's going to be about every 9,000 miles. Are you going to buy that one or the one you have to change every 3 months, 3,000? Ooh, that
Make no
one's
difference to me.
Yeah, you're just not going to change it.
No, but that has been a bigger issue for Selling Point over the years is the serviceability
Low maintenance
cost. And
Maintenance-free batteries. You remember that? I can remember when they came out. I was a little kid. I was like, a maintenance-free battery? That sounds great. And I had no idea what it was. It's like in first grade. Everybody was getting the die-hard maintenance-free battery.
International Falls. I remember the
testing. The code.
Oh, I was wondering where you're going with that.
Yeah, the Die Hard
Come
commercials.
on, back off just a little bit.
I'm with you, Shirley.
Oh boy, no, you're there. There's seriously, we sell a lot of these vehicles, motors, and we've seen a lot of these vehicles that we've gotten in with lots of miles on them. They've driven them just fine. They've been wrecked. They still run good. They still work good. So we don't want to paint this huge brush that they're all junk, but there is a high failure rate if they're not maintained.
And to answer her question, go to 3,000 miles.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Shirley, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150.
I would have to say that of all the car engines we replace, it's got to be 19 out of 20 of them that fail because of oil system issues. 19 out of 20.
Yeah, I can believe that.
It's not like a head gasket or something like that. It's like, no, it's an oil system. The timing chains are all gummed up and that kind of thing. So it's just general. And a lot of that comes from crappy gasoline, crappy oils. It's just, bleh, you know.
866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Be sure to visit our website for news, contests, and previous shows at underthehoodshow.com. Welcome back, everybody. It's time to get back under the hood with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150 from the Autotempest.com studios. All the cars, one search, Autotempest.com/hoodie. 866-594-4150. What's caught your attention in the automotive world? Something caught my attention this morning.
Oh, that's always interesting to me.
Do tell.
I am driving my wife's vehicle today, and when we first got that vehicle, when I would like back out of the driveway or switch gears to go forward, it would draw down. The idle would come down, and it would, or even if you were sitting at idle, it would kind of just would get real low and then kind of pick itself back up. And when you went in reverse and stopped to go forward, you could it was just about to die.
I remember I drove it for like 300 miles.
Yeah.
Almost wrecked it for you.
Yeah, thanks.
You would have solved that problem.
Good check on the brakes there. This morning, it died for the first time. I put it in reverse, got to the end of the driveway, and when I went to go forward, it died. So it's been like 11 years or something.
Just give it a little gas, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's what I had to just.
Could you feather it just right?
No, I now I will. But
is it possible that you're getting older and you're just backing up too slow?
Very possible. And I don't drive that very often, so I might
being extra
be
cautious.
Maybe.
Still shouldn't die.
Well, it could have a problem with the throttle position sensor, where it's not. It's reading too low, and sometimes we can tweak that a little bit, just a little bend and straighten that out. On that,
I just feel good that it was on the edge for however long and it never died. I feel like a victory, like the guy who called in with 600,000 miles on his truck.
We've had some good ones today on miles. I mean, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not all bad, but for oil changes or whatever.
No,
I mean, there's
just
a
to
lot
get
of them
somebody with
lots and lots of miles.
It was on, but a 450 Ford engine on a recent call, 620,000 miles on a 99 Chevy Silverado 3500, all original motor and transmission.
That's crazy.
I see that in some fleet stuff every once in a while, where we'll get a van that's like a fleet and they've driven it out a whole bunch of miles.
It
on
seemed like he
on
was
the
doing
older,
probably, right?
older big rear-wheel drive vans, but he's doing a lot of highway hauling or something. That's that impressed me.
Here's a question on the stream from YouTube. Camry XV20 having bad rear sway bars and links cause the rear shocks and struts to leak or go bad? He didn't ask the question. There was no question there. They just put a question mark at the end. On a Camry XV20, will having bad rear sway bars and links cause the rear shocks and struts to go bad?
No, it shouldn't.
Okay.
It'll have a little more sway to it, a little bit of noise when the links are clunking back there when you're driving over little bumps. But if you
The shocks should still hold the pressure of the car, whether it's being.
The springs and the shocks should support it, and the shocks should keep the.
Is it putting more
bounce
stress
out of
on one side or the other if you turn heavy that way a lot? It will, but it should not be excessive to the amount of force that they're designed to take from the car.
Okay.
I just think that it's a combination of you need to fix your sway bar, and you've got enough miles and wear that the seals have went out of the shocks and they're starting to leak.
So you got to
just time to replace them.
They're coincidental, but not.
You said that so specifically.
Yeah, they're incidental, but they're working together to give you fits, right?
Did you purposely, and am I just being really low on my grammar skills, coincidental, the way you said that?
Yeah, because
not coincidental.
Well, I wanted to point out that it's not just a coincidence.
Is that two different words?
Two incidences working together.
Coincidental and coincidental. Are
usage is different, but technically, I don't think
know
it's
that I've ever
different.
used coincidental before.
I'm opening up all new worlds for you today, aren't I?
Well,
got
I make
math
my own
skills.
language all the time.
Yeah,
I mean, I constantly make my own language and my own thought process, but that I'm going to note that one.
Okay. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Randy. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Randy, what can we do for you?
Yes, thank you for taking my call. I have a 99 Chevy Silverado, and the problem I have is the chimes. You know, the little chimer keeps going off all the time. Same kind of chimes like if you leave the lights on. That's what it sounds like, just chime, 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 chime. But the problem is it comes from my headlight switch, is what I'm assuming. Because I'll turn the vehicle on, doesn't matter if it's daytime or nighttime. The chimes come on, and my running lights are not on. But then as I'm driving, the driving lights will come on, and then the chimes go off. Or at night, I turn the vehicle on, start it up, and the headlights are supposed to automatically come on, but they don't. The chimes come on instead. But then I turn the headlights on automatically, manually, and I'm driving. And then as soon as the chimes go off while I'm driving, then I can turn the switch off and the headlights stay on. So obviously it has something to do with the headlight switch, but I can't ever get the chimes to go off unless... One thing I did find is it seems to be temperature related. Like in the wintertime, it chimes every time I start it up. And if I turn the heater on and put it so that the heater goes towards the floor, then it's a matter of 5 minutes and the chimes will go off and stay off as long as the heater's going. But if the vents turn any other way, the heater's in any other way, like the defrost or anything, it won't affect it. But if it's going on the floor, it'll actually heat things up enough where it shuts the chimes off.
Well, the dash vents heat up the headlight switch pretty quick, because I've had people say my headlight switch is getting hot. It's like, well, because you're running your vents and you've got the heat on high, so that's not where it's going. But we've seen so many of these body control modules fail in these vehicles, which that's what controls your chimes. That's where your chimes come from. They're played through the radio speakers.
The body control module?
Yep, they come through the BCM, so it knows when the ignition switch is on. When there's power on, it tells it don't turn the chimes on because the key's still in the ignition. You turn the headlights on with the key out, it's going to beep, 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 because it thinks you're leaving the vehicle and forgetting to turn the headlights off. And doors open, but the second the key's turned to run, sends power to the body control module. That BCM says, oh, hey, the power's on. Don't ring for this guy. He probably needs his headlights, So I think your BCM's failing, and it's under the dash right there where that heat is directed to. Very, very popular item to replace on that model truck.
Could it be? Well, as he was first coming on, I was thinking, could it be a door latch or something that's intermittent? But then he would probably have a dome light that would come on and off too.
Mm-hmm. And when the headlights come on and off, it does it. Even when they automatically turn on and off, it stops.
Yeah. Interesting.
I miss the old days when you could just smash a chime, when you could just find what was chiming and
Just
smash
take it out and
Yeah.
smash it.
Yeah.
Well, you could probably reach under the dash and give that body control module a little tap, 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 tap.
All right. That I like that.
You like getting physical with it?
Well, you got to show it who's boss, right? That help you out there, Randy?
So it's just a little board mounted underneath the dash there.
No,
That
it's a big
probably
box.
access.
It's a big board. It's like a box that's about 8.5 inches long by 6 1/4 inches tall and 1 3/8 inches wide. And it's
So
about that big.
is it replacing the body control module, and how much work is that?
If it's bad, yeah, you can replace it. 99, it's going to have to be programmed because it's the first year of the Silverado, the new body style. If it was a 2500, now it's just a plug and play. But this one, you're going to have programmed, so it's got to be put in. It's a one-time program. You got to do it right. You can't miss any of the features, or you got to buy another one.
What do we?
He doesn't want to hear that.
What are we talking for?
$400, $500.
You might just enjoy the music.
Yeah.
What if I pull one out of another similar Silverado the same year?
Well, no. If it's got a factory radio, the radio will quit working. It'll say locked. If it's got an aftermarket radio, yes, you might be able to plug one in as long as it's got the same features, and it'll work. Like features like your fog lights. That's going to be the biggest one. So if you get one out of the same kind of thing and you've got an aftermarket radio, you should be fine. But if it's got a factory radio, it's going to say theft lock, and without programming it, you can't do anything, and you can't program to use one in that year. So, yeah, I'm all for using the used one. We've had a lot of people come in with aftermarket radios, and we're like, we'll buy a used one. And that's how we look at our inventory and say, well, we've sold 30 of them and only 5 came back. It's like, well, there's a lot of aftermarket radios in 99 model trucks.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's a great way to use those kind of parts.
You could put it in and see if the chime problem goes away.
That's a good test, yeah, because that'll operate that part.
Even though it's not getting a VIN match to the vehicle. That's the problem, is that if it's got the VIN embedded into the chip, it's been burned once in a read-only memory type chip, and you got it stuck in there, that VIN, unless you're able to be a engineer that can go in and switch that chip out or do something to. I mean, there are certain people that can work their way around it, but as a rule of thumb, that's one of them that is hard to reuse if you want to try to use it exactly the way the factory would reuse a new one.
Randy, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Another question off the YouTube stream. 2011 Yukon 5.3. Oil pressure is high, cold, normal under normal driving conditions. Stopping after extended highway speed, it drops lower than normal while sitting at a stop sign or light. Seems to run rough also. Anything I can check out? Seems like it just started doing it.
On an 11?
Yeah, 2011 Yukon.
So it starts off high and then it's low?
Yeah, high, cold, and then drops down.
Well, and if it's
Which
running
is somewhat
rough,
normal.
Yeah,
by the way.
they will change, but I mean, what is high? Is it pegged out in the red and then it's down to nothing? That could be as simple. It could be two problems. It could be an engine running problem, like a tune-up issue, and then the other problem could be with the sending unit. We replaced dozens of sending units and those for gauges that are all kind of wacky, and a lot of times they're not related at all to the engine. So don't think they're don't automatically think.
Yeah, I don't like that they're saying it's not running well though.
Right.
That makes me a bit more nervous about a oil pressure related to hamware or something like that inside.
Let's end on a good note. It's fine. It just needs a sending
But
unit.
I mean, we definitely have a lot of people do the sending units, clean the screen out that's in underneath there. But when they mention it not running well, I do get a bit more nervous. More nervous.
That's from Luke. Luke, good luck.
Luke,
sorry to sneak
check it out
that
right
in.
away, Luke.
Yeah. That'll do it for this hour of the Under the Hood Show. Until next time, you can find us at underthehoodshow.com. For Russ Evans, Shannon Nordstrom, I'm Chris Carter. Thanks for joining us on the Under the Hood Show. Welcome to the Under the Hood After Show.
If that guy would have called yesterday, we could have had Luke on May the 4th.
That's right.
May the 4th be with you.
That's right.
We didn't, if you're watching live, we can do that. Couldn't make that joke on the air because you never know when the show's going to show up on your doorstep, and sometimes date jokes don't work. Sometimes none of my jokes work.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know.
There's a good chunk of the time my jokes are wrong.
You just make a
Because
joke
I
and they
totally get the wrong band.
That is sticking in your craw today, isn't it?
As much music as I listened to in that era, to do Living on the Edge and say Bon Jovi, that's bad. To me, that's a really bad foul.
That I believe I can understand that would drive you crazy because living on the edge.
Because we blasted that song through my Infinity speakers in my living room so loud.
And Jamie's got a gun.
Oh, all of it. All those songs so loud.
Janie.
We were into car stereo stuff. I had my cars had big tunes in them, and those were the songs that we blasted.
You're in the jungle, baby. How great is it to have the factory systems we do now?
Oh,
they're so good.
They're so good.
some of them are so good they would have been impressive in the 80s.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that sounds great.
And I'll say I can see that would bug you because I have had the absolute unfettered joy of playing Name That Tune with you in the car on a long trip.
It's been a while since we did that.
Yeah, and
Yeah, the Lambert.
That's my livelihood. That's my life. And I got to beat you at it, and it drove you nuts. And I
did because once
sweet.
again I hear things, and then I'm positive I know what it is, and I got the wrong band and I got the wrong era.
That was great.
But it's all rattling around up in here. It's rattling, and sometimes it just doesn't come out together.
Mm-hmm.
That's extra data that is not important, but I have a lot of pride to get it out.
Yeah. And I'll say this: you are very impressive at Name That Tune. It was
certain eras,
yeah,
and that era right there is one that I should get right.
That is. But when you start to say that Bon Jovi and Living on a Prayer is so ubiquitous that you could say living anything and you would think of Bon Jovi.
Oh, if you had to name that tune, not name that tune, but they gave you part of a lyric and you had to hit the button.
Right.
Living on a Prayer would be probably first.
Living with rheumatoid arthritis. Bon Jovi. That's just a natural. It's like a reflex.
Is there a game that you could play to guess the medical prescription?
Yeah, it's called
commercial
news. It's called Watch the News at Night. Holy moly, the prescription ads on there.
And they've gotten so long.
Depends on the show you're watching. It's if it's the show, they know what audience is. They know what the demographic is of.
Well, that makes me nervous when the ads get served to me. Then, what do I got coming?
Right.
Because right now I feel pretty darn good, but. Those ads.
Don't you love
I've
the
got
ones
some
where
serious
they say,
stuff coming up in my life real soon.
I don't have a headache, but I've got nausea and explosive diarrhea and all these other things. It's like, but your headache's gone.
Mm-hmm. I shouldn't make jokes about that because I know there's a lot of people that get relief from some of these amazing medicines that are out there.
How about the one, though, they say it in every one.
We officially have went to another subject.
Right.
Don't take flagellmosis if you're allergic to flagellmosis. I'm like, well, how do I know I'm allergic to flagellmosis if I haven't taken it? I mean, seriously, they say that every time.
Puzzling.
Is that a drug, flagellmosis?
I do often.
Sounds like it would help gas.
I watch
in ladies.
The commercials, and I. Oh boy! I watch the commercials and I think to myself a lot. Isn't there a doctor involved with this? Because they're giving me information like if you've had a transplant, you can't use this medication. The doctor should know both of those things, right, before they prescribe it.
I think it's next level marketing compared to what we do with our small company. People say, why do you advertise to the public so much? And I want people to know that a Nordstrom's alternative part is an option. So that when they go to the repair shop and they say, that's going to be $7,000. I don't have $7,000. We have an option.
Mm-hmm.
We can get a quality recycled part from Nordstrom's and put it in there. We'll give them a warranty. They warranty the part, and they're kind of aware of it if they've heard. Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Is this like the next level for, I'm feeling this in my thing, and then they go to the doctor.
Diseases are caused by them telling you probably.
So then I go to the doctor and they say, well, you need flagellmosis.
Yeah.
Right.
Ask your doctor if you need flagellmosis.
Yeah. So I'm like, do I need flagellmosis? Yes, you do. Well, I got to get some.
And a breath mint.
Well, I would suppose, if you turn it the other way, if you had a lawsuit where you had to pay $500 million for a windshield washer fluid container,
okay,
and all of the rest of them were fine, but there was one, you might go, hey, we sell windshield washer containers, but you can't use it on this specific car. I know you don't have that, but let me just say it again. You can't use it on this other car. You would probably throw that into all your ads. If,
Yeah, probably.
You know?
You change the subject quick?
Yeah.
Because I got to take ownership of something before it gets out there to know that I believe it was my original idea. I got to get it. I have to get this on the air or in print.
Okay.
Something. All right. We've had another comedian attacked.
Yes.
Not good. We got to let people tell jokes and leave them alone. It's a joke.
A joke is a joke.
Let
if you
people
don't
tell
like
jokes,
it, go to a different comedian.
I've got a good friend of mine, good friend of Russ and I both, Jeff Storm, and his son Ezra is a aspiring stand-up comic in Arizona. He's made some headliners. He's getting in the circuit. He's doing pretty good at this whole stand-up comedy thing. And so I sent him a note after the Will Smith incident, and I said that, hey, I want you to know that I will help you, Ezra, get a comedy cage.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've talked to a welder, and I said we can set him up. But I think comedy cages are what we're going to need. And so I want that on record, that idea, maybe not original.
No, here's what I'm thinking, though. My immediate thought is, if I'm the comedian, if I'm on stage and someone's going to attack me, I'll take my chances with them one-on-one. But if I'm in a cage and someone wants to attack me...
Well, there's an escape door out the back.
They're going to go for something else.
There's
They're
an
gonna
escape
try
door
and,
out the back.
Yeah, but
what if they get you pinned in the cage and it turns into like a UFC rumble?
They got a stick. I don't,
You're poking Chris through the cage.
I want them, if someone's going to attack me, I want them to think one-on-one with their bare hands is the way to get me. Because that's my only chance. If they realize they can't punch me, so they go next level, I'm in trouble.
So you don't like the comedy cage? Probably isn't the thing.
I don't think so. Like a suit, like a electrified suit, maybe.
You know what I would have paid to see pay-per-view? I wish The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, was hosting the awards, and Will Smith came up.
Oh, he would have never went up.
He would have gone. Oh.
He would have never went up there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Will Smith thinks he can take Chris Rock. That's why he did it.
What was that? Oh, I felt it.
He's like, he was in
the breeze.
Will Smith's like, he was in Madagascar. I mean, I'm taking him easy.
Right.
This is not a problem. If The Rock's up there, thought doesn't even cross his mind. He goes, funny joke. Yeah, I love it.
Funny, wasn't that funny?
Kind of his first reaction before his wife looked at him.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah. Trust me. Well, I think also they might have, with the Dave Chappelle one, they might have solved that problem a little bit, too. Because
he got beat up.
Yeah, he ran backstage and then he was taken from the venue in an ambulance.
Did you see the pictures of that guy? He got beat up.
I just heard that it was bad.
And how ironic that Chris Rock was there. He jumps on stage. He goes, "Was that Will Smith?"
Yeah,
he did. He got up and made a joke.
All right, don't beat up the comedians.
Yeah,
just don't listen.
Jamie Foxx was there again too. I mean, these guys must just all. Did they all just?
Yeah,
follow each other?
Yeah, that was a whole.
Car guys do.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, that's. I guess if there was a big build or a big reveal, you'd have a lot of the same people there.
All right.
Boy, how many subjects did we cover there?
We got a lot going on.
Okay,
today.
I won't build a comedy cage.
Let me think about this. Yeah.
It's got to have an escape route though, like
thinking of you, Ezra.
Safety route.
Trapdoor. Have it up high, and then it could be like a safe room. He can push a button and just drop straight
into the comedy closet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a real place.
Is it actually a place?
Name,
okay, so it'd be the comedy cube.
There you go.
You drop into the comedy
be a
cube,
real place too.
and you're like safe.
Comedy cage, and then you have that's an option.
So you tell the joke,
right?
And you measure the crowd, and you just got your finger on the trigger. Oh, they're coming. Boop.
Yep, that's a good idea.
Comedy cube.
All right, now it works.
All right.
All right, that'll do it for the End of the Hood show.
Bye.
Is that it? Autotempest.com/hoodie.
Yeah, autotempest.com/hoodie. Use it.
And you might get a survey when you go there, too.
Yeah.
And fill it out.
Maybe not.
Be honest.
They sponsor our show. They help make it free, so you can see it for free and hear it for free and all that stuff. So visit it, and it's fun. I mean, you can go to a lot of our sponsors, but you can go to them because it's cool. You'll be addicted like Chris.
That is true.
Hey, Chris, have you got addicted to Search Tempest yet? Have you done that?
I have. I have gone. I had to stop, except when I'm looking for something. I still use it, but I had to stop just seeing if, like the internet. Much like when I first discovered the internet, I didn't use it for any purpose other than to see what it could do. And with SearchTempest.com, that's what I spent a lot of time just going, let me look up this. Oh, yep, it's there too. I kind of do that with Autotempest.com.
And with your imagination, ooh,
yeah,
dangerous.
Yeah. Comedy Cage. I'm going to go look for one right now.
Comedy Cube. We're going Cube now.
Comedy Cube.
Yep. And, and they'd be up on stage higher so people could see them better?
Yep.